I am super excited, and not just because I'm standing in the primary armor hall of Weta Workshop in Wellington, New Zealand with a armored centaur behind me. I am also excited because of what we are about to see. Master sculptor here, my friend Johnny Fraser Allen, who we've covered on Tested before in 2D with the incredible worlds and sculpts and fantasy things that he brings to life. Well, we're about to see a brand new project he's been working on in virtual reality. And it's so much cooler than just seeing it in 3D because we're going to take you and play with the scale at which you see his creations. If that's not crystal clear, it doesn't matter. Wait till you see what we have to show you. Johnny is a sculptor here at Weta Workshop, and you have a personal obsession with miniatures and gaming. Do you want to talk about where it all began?
Well, sure. Look, as a teenager, I was a massive gamer, and my side hobby was film. But also as a teenager, I joined the film industry, and so film became my central kind of world, and gaming became the hobby. So it kind of flipped around on itself. But the first 2 years I started at Weta as a teenager, into my early 20s, I was on a team of people that worked on all 65 of the giant miniatures of Skull Island for King Kong.
Okay.
And where I learned how to put rock together and shape a landscape and paint it and everything. And I fell in love. I got the bug, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd go home that night and try and implement what I'd learnt in the film industry into my Lord of the Rings gaming and Warhammer gaming and stuff like that.
Just as an aside, this is exactly how I responded when I first started working in special effects in my early 20s. I was so excited about what I was learning every day. I would go home every night and literally work all night long.
Same.
The kind of thing you can only do in your early 20s.
That's exactly right, yeah. And so now, having been 17 years in the film industry, I've gone back around full circle where I'm full-time. My job now is with my company, Tabletop Troubadour. I've taken everything I've learnt and loved and thrived on in film, and I'm trying to get it to people's tabletops.
Well, speaking of that, an early time we were here a couple of years ago, you showed us the first iteration of this, Hagglethorn Hollow. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah, we got a little segment over here.
All right. All right, Johnny, so this is Hagglethorn Hollow, and you've made it as a set of buildings on tiles.
Well, that's right. After your last tested video featuring us, Cool Mini or Not, which are an amazing games company, saw it and invited us to showcase it at their booth at Gen Con. And so I wanted to do something extra special for that. So I made Hagglethorn Hollow fit within the board gaming tile parameters of the game Zombicide. And that's why this is a bit more of a gruesome version of Hagglethorn Hollow. Oh, that's where there's dead zombies all over it. Yeah, which is, that was a really fun last stage to throw in there.
And the roofs here are actually removable.
Right. So we were running games all day long, all week at Gen Con, where 4 people could play this game every 30 minutes.
Right.
We ran through a lot of people, and it was really immersive, and they loved it. And
oh, look at that!
There was a big response to it. And the coolest thing was on day one, about 12 people that had backed the whole campaign, painted and everything, came up to me, and were like, "Oh, I was nervous as an artist that my work wasn't good enough once it became popular and was selling." But they were like, if it's half this good, we'll be stoked. So that was, I could breathe easy after that. This is where we were at last time you visited us.
Okay.
And I've gone ahead and I've built the next campaign of Hagglethorn Hollow, which is what's happening in the forest behind it, which is basically, if this is the base if this is the base set for building on Hagglethorn Hollow, we're now going to release the base set of what the tree creatures in the Wandering Woods is and where they come from. So that's going to be established. By the time the trees come out, you can start populating it within what we're calling Bracken Court Keep.
Can we take a look at that?
Let's do it.
Excellent. All right, Johnny, this is a much bigger platform than we saw last time.
Yeah, well, I always try to move forwards as an artist, and I'm never particularly happy with anything. Which is a fault to my mental health, but it is a boon to me as an artist, I suppose, right? And so, as happy as I was with that epic long setup from last time, and its flatness worked for the modularity, I still want to push it forwards. I want to I want my modularity to still work on a landscape where once it's finished, you kind of feel like you've rented a helicopter for your birthday and you've gone over this world. You know, like they got those Lord of the Rings shots.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Okay, where does it start?
Okay, so and I've always been obsessed with the forest, and I always saw creatures in the trees as a kid. I still do as an adult, and to do something a bit different to Hagglethorn, but keep within the same world, I've created another modular product. So first of all, we have this guy here, and you can see...
oh, like a face, right?
It's a face. So you can use this as like a kingdom or a portal to a kingdom. And I was thinking in my mind when I sculpted him of the Indiana Jones, he chose poorly sort of dude.
What about this thing here? What is that for?
I like multiple functions in everything I do, so I've made sure that this works as a functioning dice tower.
No!
So even if this might not be in play, if you buy the set and you're using other pieces, you can have this on the side, or it could be functioning in game as a dice tower.
Yeah.
And you can even display your scores up the staircase here, or just use this as your dice pool, ready to grab, roll about, see what scores you get.
Actual functionality, not even fantasy functionality.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
this is a part of a modular system.
that's right. So that's one piece.
Okay.
We've built a little road system, and it's pretty straightforward. But this road piece is going to also work with the buildings of Hagglethorn Hollow. If you want to start decking out your streets.
So it basically, it's been, while it looks random, it's been sculpted to kind of join itself and other pieces.
To different buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see the curve there meets
Matches.
that curve
Oh,
there,
yeah,
you can- and it will have other paths coming off this, but for now, it's a little bit of, looks quite yummy. And then we've got this bridge piece.
Staircase, okay.
So you can get two of those and make an amazing elven bridge, or it just looks like a fun piece of ruin. It's a great piece to slap anywhere on your table and use as a, you know, there's all sorts of levels for archers to get in there. You've got this walled off bit you can hide behind, and just something to fantasy up your board, really.
I mean, as you're sculpting this, are you just thinking to yourself, what else can I add? What more functionality can I build in?
The whole time. I mean, that's why these rotten holes.
That's what I was wondering about that.
Because that means you now get line of sight for the person here, but he's harder to hit for the person there.
All right. How do
and then
show me some of this modularity? Oh, look at that.
Castle pieces. And I built this over a piece I showed you last time, which was going to become the Millennium Falcon Castle. And because of that, I was able to get so much more detail on this because I was already building over a structure. Now, these can go by themselves as scatter terrain. They work with the ruins of Hagglethorn Hollow.
Yeah.
But they also go together to make yourself
look at that.
a little kind of fantasy fortress.
Oh, amazing. And I'm noticing a commonality here. Am I right about this? Does this actually also...
That's right. That's the way.
Is that it? I thought you might have done that.
So if you want more gameplay, you have you can give this some width and more room, almost for like an arena. You can have everyone up here watching while you're battling it out to get whatever's happening in your quest or your game set.
Johnny, I love the way you've also prioritized the size of human hands to be able to move around within these spaces while keeping them super fantasy oriented. Like that, you know, when I put my head down and I start to look through, it's very immersive. I feel like I'm, like you said, renting a helicopter to fly in.
Well, that's what I wanted. I want the immersiveness of, if you're mid-game, you take out your cell phone and take a pic, it looks like you're on a film set. But also, you know, I changed this as I went because I was using my tiny little child hands, and my business partner came in with his big meat hands and said, well, I can't play in this. I go, okay, so I made the changes relevant to everyone's hand size. That's right. Now this guy goes here. That's right. So you get an entrance up into this guy's, right up to the portal there.
It's creating a whole nother structure.
And then this goes up here.
Oh, no.
And then you cap it off with that, and it becomes a dragon. So the roots become the wings.
I'm really moved. That's amazing.
Well, the idea is one of the reasons why you can use this for any game you play, but for me, everything I do is adding to the overall story of Hagglethorn Hollow.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
And this is on the very top of the hill of Hagglethorn Hollow. So a a lot of people have, the hollow's been kept safe because this makes a silhouette of a dragon from the shoreline, and people don't go there because beware there be dragons, you know? Or the only people that do go there are adventurers, which means Hagglethorne Hollow is full of adventurers, and that's where you go to start your team, get the Ocean's 11 of the dungeon crawler, you know?
Amazing. Can we dress more of this?
Yeah, so it's, I've set up a little buffet of fantasy elements, and let's
get into it.
Let's turn this this plain into a forest.
Excellent.
Okay, so you've seen how easy it is to assemble a table with the modular system I've created, but I thought I'd show you some of the work that goes into getting it to that stage ready for your tabletop. This is a building that was basically unlocked through everyone's support through the Kickstarter of Hagglethorne Hollow. We were able to deliver a whole new building. And again, this is a complete modular interactive setup here, and just like everything else, we've made sure that it works with two complete different world types. So you've got thatch and you've got tile. We've got a fisherman's kind of lodge here, and you can see that I've put, there's still bits of plasticine on this, because these are the prototypes, and I will get them all the way up to the stage, and even then, if I'm not happy with a bit, I will go in, and even if it's as small as adding this brick to make sure it seams properly, I'll go in, put that little brick on it, and we'll remold and cast and repaint the whole thing until I'm happy with it. This is talk about the sculpting process. I use plasticine, which you can see here. It's an oil-based clay. I use a medium Chavant. Medium allows you to heat it up, and I literally put blocks of plasticine in the oven, and so it's to a Play-Doh consistency, and that saves a lot of damage to my wrist and tools while I build up these mass forms. And then as it cools down, I'm able to work in the details to quite a high level with the various tools that I've got. A full building like this is probably 2.5 to 3 weeks work of a 6-day week at 8 hours to 10 hours a day. To complete a garden gnome to this level, that's a 3-week sculpture. But I find sculpting an organic matter like rock or tree bark, it comes out of me so much faster. And so this sculpture, that's a 2-day sculpt, maybe 2.5 days. But you know, it's such a small. It's the same amount of character and size and quantity to sculpt. But I guess you've really got to consider every finger and piece of drapery here, and sometimes expediency and even mistakes on tree bark or a tree creature make the thing look even better. So you can almost just go into a zone and bash those things out, as opposed to a character like this, which is really, really involved for me. And here's a tree creature that's maybe 30 to 40% finished. And these are the sculpting tools I use to achieve that. It's my little toolbox. Don't be shocked at the poor state of my tools. I never clean them. They're just covered in plasticine. I know that would appall a lot of people. But so you start off with your big tools like this, and you can start building up shapes really quickly, really easily with these guys, like that. And then once I get an overall feeling, an overall shape, which still looks like a big kind of mushy ball of cheese, you're really just finding almost the silhouette of this character. Then I go in with something like this. You could use anything. This is a steel sort of sharpened pipe thing. I really only need it for this point here, because as you can see, I've already started. I start just like I'm drawing on paper. I can start drawing in features, and then with a smaller tool, say like something like this is a loop tool, I can start getting into that illustrative kind of line work crack that I've made, and I can start shaping away from it. And then to smooth that off, I go down a line of various rakes, if you can even see them through the plasticine there. Now, these are handmade. You can see copper pipe, a bit of plumber's epoxy, which is called Knead It. But this is a bass guitar string, and this is a guitar string. Now, the natural kind of twisted texture you get over a steel guitar string is the perfect smoothing tool to start defining some of your details. And you can see from my toolbox, I've got about a key 7 that I use. And then once I'm happy with these details, they've all started to wrap up, I will get isopropyl alcohol, dip a watercolor brush in it, rub it over this, get a heat torch to it, like a little creme brulee heat torch, start smoothing everything off, and then I might go through and do another detail pass on it. Storytelling has always been hugely important to me. I think that's what drew me to gaming in the first place, is you're given the rules and the context to be able to become basically an active participant in a world you're creating or playing in. You can read an amazing fantasy novel and it tells you what's happening. You could watch an amazing fantasy movie and you get shown what the story is. But what's cool about gaming and miniatures and scenery is that you are given the tools to create a world like a filmmaker could or an author could, but then you get to choose how much of an active participant you are within that world. And for me, as a maker, not only do I get to enjoy the games, but I now get to start telling a world I've been dreaming of since I was a kid. Through abilities I've learned through my time in the film industry, I can now sculpt the stuff that's inside my head and offer that up as something for people to play in however they like. I know how the story goes, but I'd love to see how you think the story should go.
Well, we just did this in about 10 or 15 minutes, and I think that indicates two things. One, you and I have both spent a lot of time dressing miniature sets just like this, so we have a lot of experience doing that. But two, because I have a lot of experience doing it, I'm sort of shocked by how well everything you've built integrates with everything else you've built.
Well, that's the idea. I don't want people to need years of film experience like ourselves to do it. I, as a gamer, enjoy being taken on the quest more than taking people on the quest. I like both.
Yeah.
But I wanted to create a system that any of my gaming buddies who know what I've got available for them to use, I can go make a cup of coffee, play with the dogs, and then 20 minutes later they go, all right, we're ready for the next mission. And I come back in and I get to explore this and go on a journey.
I appreciate while you're self-soothing and taking care of your gaming needs, you are also making sure that everybody else's gaming needs are taken care of.
I think everyone else's gaming needs are my gaming needs.
Right.
You know, because
Right,
I'm a gamer,
right.
I make stuff to fill a gap I couldn't find, and other people respond to that, which is great.
Johnny, thank you so much for taking me on this little journey. It's magnificent.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to share it with you again.
Oh.